Hi guys, this is a quick product tour of ZE Company's House Assistant. So this is built directly into Zoho CRM. So here I am logged into my demo system as John Smith. On this dashboard, I can see my monthly credits. I'm on the bronze package, the cheapest package, which is £29 a month, and I get 500 credits per month, which is plenty for any sort of small, medium-sized business in the UK. So on this dashboard, I can see the companies that I have on my system, and I can see here that these are the ones with overdue filings and inactive companies. So this is a good snapshot. If I'm a B2B business and I use this extension to validate my clients, then this is a really quick, easy way for me to keep track of my clients and make sure they aren't going into administration or that they aren't having financial troubles. Oftentimes when, accounts or confirmation statements, something like that is overdue, it could be a precursor to something going wrong at that business. So I would want to know about that. Or if I was an accountant, I would be looking after my clients' companies and making sure that I'm filing the paperwork at the right times. If I was a property manager, many properties in the UK are now owned by limited companies. So again, I would want to know about these dates. I would want to know about any issues, because if something happens with that limited company, that could cause significant problems for my property business that now looks after properties owned by those companies. All right, let's show you some features. First, you can do a simple company search here. If we look for Google, for example, it's looking up Google. There we go. These are all the companies. Now, how many results? It's given us 65 of 65. So out of our active companies only, there are 65 companies that have Google in the name. We could go straight to this company on Company's House and see the full history. We might also look up the officers, persons with significant control, or add this company as an account on our system. Let's start by looking up the officers. Here we have an officer, and we can add this officer as a lead. We don't have this person's contact information because unfortunately that isn't made public to us on Company's House. But we can open up his lead record now, and we'll have his name, and we'll have, which company he's part of, the lead source, which is our Company's House assistant, so you can keep track of which leads have been brought in through the extension. And then obviously we've got all the Company's House information here. Now, what this has done as well is it's created a Company's House record for this company. We also have this widget on the leads record, contacts record, accounts records, and a deals record. From any of those, you can quickly look up a company, change it, do whatever you like. But the idea would be that you would add this person as a lead, and then you would use some other data source to try to find their contact information. You might look them up on LinkedIn or Facebook, or you might have some other tool that you put in some information about a person, and maybe that tool then looks up their email address for you, and then you can bring that in here and start pursuing them as a lead. Now, if we go back to our search results, let's look for a different business. Let's go to this one here, and persons of significant control. So we can see here for Google Cloud Public Sector, the person of significant control is Alphabet Inc., the parent company. Many companies need to know who the persons of significant control are, who the owners are, what the ownership stakes are. You can see all that by looking up this information. So if we had a business here that had 10 different persons of significant control and they were each 10% shareholders, we'd be able to work that out quite easily from looking at this list that comes back here. So really useful stuff. Then we can also add Google Cloud Public Sector as an account on our system, and we can click through here and go straight into their account. Really useful, quick, massive time savings if you're working with businesses. The other thing you can do is look up an officer. If you want to find what other companies somebody has, type in their name, hit search, and it'll bring up all the Company's House entries for that person or a person with that name. Let's look that up. I'm going to spell my name. Okay. Lots of people with the same name. You can see that's the same address, 2 different entries for me on Company's House. Click here to add me as a lead. Now we've got advanced search. Subscribers wanted to look up specific types of companies. So let's say private limited company, they only want active companies registered in, say, the last month. So they would go July. And then they wanted to look up specific SIC codes. So for example, if we look up, is it real estate? Here, buying and selling of own real estate. Okay, so this would be all the companies that are incorporated to own properties, which they will then rent out. So they're often known as single purpose vehicles. Okay, so this is all the single purpose vehicles that were registered in the UK in the month of July. Okay, if we wanted to specify, obviously today's the 1st of August, so we could specify to the 31st of July. And you can go location. So you can search for London only. If, say, you're based in London and you want to target people in your specific area, this can nail things down nicely. So this defaults to 5,000, which means I'd use 50 credits to look up 5,000 records because it's 1 credit per 100. I could just look up the first 100, for example, and that will use 1 credit. So there we go. Now it tells me there are 4,212 records in total. If I had used the 5,000, the 50 credits, I would have gotten all the results back. I've got all these different companies that I know were incorporated for the purpose of buying real estate and letting it out. So if I was, say, a mortgage broker or an insurance salesperson or any sort of connected industry, I could click on here, export to CSV, upload that to my mailing service, and send them all letters to the registered address so that I could market to them. I could create accounts for all of them. Then they would all be on my system and I'd be able to systematically go through them and try to market to them, maybe look up their details as I went through earlier in this video. This is the sort of dashboard of the extension, which you access through the tab up here called Company's House Assistant. From here, you can also check your subscription. You can update your subscription if you want to. So if you want 5,000 lookups per month, you get 10 times as many credits for an extra £20 a month. So if you are finding this extension really useful and you're using it a lot and you're starting to run out of credits, then it's very simple to jump up to the next level. All right, if we go to our settings, I'm going to blur out these API keys. When you get started, register for an account on Company's House and follow these steps. They're literal step-by-step steps. They'll tell you exactly how to get it. It's a 5-minute process and you get your own key. You can also get an API key for Screen Layer, which will take a screenshot of the company page and offices page every time you look up a company. So that could be really useful if you need that for compliance. For example, say you work on behalf of a third party and that third party needs you to confirm that you looked up the company and you proved that John Smith, who was signing the agreement, was actually a director of the company when he signed that agreement. This will automatically keep that record for you. And then we've got our automation settings. We set this by default to automatically set the company and the address in leads because we don't want to overwrite information that you have in your system. But if you always want to make sure that the billing address is set to the registered address on accounts and the company name on accounts set to the actual company name, this one's useful to have set. Here we have the number of days between automatic company record updates. Over time, this can use more of your credits. So if you have 5,000 companies on your database, you know, that you've looked up and added through this application over a couple of years, then if you set this to be monthly, that's going to use 5,000 credits per month to look up fresh data for those companies. Bear that in mind when you set this date. Credits are very cheap if you bump up to the next step. This could be useful if you're an accountant, for example. You might want to set this to be every 2 months or every 3 months or even monthly to make sure that as soon as there's an update, you're getting that information. Because it's very simple to set up alerts so you get emails when something changes on a company. Let's go to our accounts. This is all dummy data. These are real companies, but it's publicly available information, so I'm not showing anything private here. We're on our accounts, so we can either track when these dates change on the account, but the better way to do this is probably to track when it changes on Company's House. If you save any company to your system, it's going to create the Company's House record. But if you create 10 leads for the same company, there's only going to be one Company's House record attached to those 10 leads. It's common for people to have duplicate accounts. If you have automations running and 3 different accounts linked to the same company, you might run that automation 3 times when you only wanted to run it once. So that's where it can be good to use the Company's House record for automation. If we go down to search companies, you can just click up here, go down to search companies and take that to the top. That makes it simple to get to. From here, you can change the company, which is easy. Otherwise, click here to open settings and you're in your dashboard. So really nice and simple. A couple of other things. If we're creating a new account, we don't want to have to type in all this information. So what we can do is we can be on the phone and say, oh, what's your company name? Domino's. Perfect. Domino's Brothers in 52 Woodley Gardens. Oh, yes, great. Hit there. Boom. So we've got the company name. We've got the address. And now because I don't have the automatic thing set, it hasn't set the address here. But if I had that set, the billing address would also be set. I don't think I'd need to add anything else. I think I can just go save. Yeah, there we go. And that's the account. Same for leads. I can go into leads, create lead, company search, And let's look up PBD Plumbing of 28 Old Park Road. Okay, is that you? Yep, perfect. There we go. So all I need to do now is set the last name. So we'll just call this John Plumber. And this will be whoever I'm talking to on the phone, right? There we go. And then we've got our details saved. There we go. All that information has been filled in from the company's house extension. You can see the address field has been automatically set with all the company information. We have to refresh it to see it, but here we go. We've got our company's house record for PBD Plumbing. All right, let's go through this step one more time. Down here, we go to search companies and move that to the top. Okay, save. Perfect. So the final thing I'm going to show you is how to set up automations. So we go into here, so our settings, and if you're on the new version of Zoho, it's in the bottom left-hand corner. Click on the settings icon, look for workflow rules, create a rule, and select your module, which is the company's house entries. There's also a company's house offices module, so that records each of the offices for each company and takes a screenshot. Very useful. All right, so here we want to say, I like to do ZE and then whatever the extension is, so company's house entries or modules. Do this on status change. Say on record action, on edit, because obviously when we first look it up, it's going to match whatever status we want. We're going to tick here to say repeat every time this field changes. This specific field gets modified. The status, a value not equal to active. Next. And now I don't want any other criteria. Then I'm going to say email notification, inactive company alert. I will choose to go to the owner of the company record, or we could put somebody specific here. I like to use group email addresses like info@ or help@, so everyone in the team sees that, and whoever's on holiday is not going to miss it. But in this case, we'll just go to the owner and then select a template. I don't think I have any templates. We've got this company's house confirmation statement due soon. So that's an auto one that's included. We'll use this template and then we will save. And now every time the status changes, so I had an active company and it changes to no longer active, it's going to send this email out to whichever email address I've chosen. So that can be really, really useful for keeping track of your business to business relationships when a business that you rely on to pay you in 90-day terms, for example, if they go into liquidation or they go dissolved or something like that, you're going to want to know about it ASAP. Anyway, you can find the extension on Zoho Marketplace. It's just ZE Company's House Assistant, or there will be a link to it in the video description. So there's absolutely no risk or expense to you. You get 30 days free trial. Try it out. See what you think. If you've got any feature requests or any ideas on how to make the extension even better, please let us know, because we're always looking to make the extension better. We hope you love it. If you're one of our subscribers, we hope you love the refresh. Please let us know your thoughts. Leave a comment or get in touch via the chat box if you need any help or if you've got any questions. Thanks, guys. All the best.